It's a beautiful winter morning on the beach at Low Newton by the sea on the Northumberland coast. There's a shaft of wintry sunlight which is turning the beach silver where the water's been on it. And out to the left I can see flocks of birds skimming over the surface of the sea. Just a couple of people walking their dogs in the distance. And behind us the Ship Inn where you can get a great crab sandwich. And over in the far distance through the mist you can see Dunstamborough Castle looming up from a spit of land. And it's bleak, but it's beautiful. And we come here to meet the Unthanks, and nothing could prepare you better for the bleak, haunting sound of their music than the bleak, haunting landscape that we're looking at now. When I first heard the Unthanks, they were actually called Rachel and Becky and the Winter Set, and they made an album called The Bairns, which just struck me as being completely original. It was of the folk tradition, but not of the folk tradition. It seemed to be traditional music with a contemporary resonance. And instead of the usual guitar, at the heart of the sound was the piano. And nowadays, Rachael and Becky Unthank, the two sisters at the heart of the band, work with Adrian McNally, who is their pianist and arranger, who produces these wonderful soundscapes, which might include piano, a trumpet, a violin, might include a whole orchestra. I saw them at the Folk Prom in the Albert Hall recently with the BBC Concert Orchestra. And sometimes they're setting traditional music, sometimes they're setting the poems of Emily Bronte, but sometimes they're dealing with contemporary musicians like the work of Robert Wyatt or Anthony and the Johnsons. So they have this extraordinary range, but always with this haunting, ethereal sound. And they still maintain their roots here in Northumberland, and they maintain their roots in the folk music scene by every winter bringing together groups of their fans for singing weekends, where everyone stays in a bunkhouse together, and the family gets involved. Rachel, Becky, Adrian are there, and then Becky and Rachel's mum and dad come and Adrian does the cooking, and they involve their fans in the joy of communal music making. And we're very privileged because not only are we going to go for a walk with Rachel in the landscape that's inspired her music, but also we're going to get to eavesdrop on one of those singing weekends. And maybe if I can get a moment with him, we'll also have a chat with Adrian.
Get drinking.
And miner's life is like a sailor's boarded ship to cross the waves. Every day his life's in danger, still he ventures being brave. Watch the rocks, they're falling daily. Careless miners always fail, so keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together, do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hands upon your wages and your eyes upon the scale. You've been taught one. But what have you to show for working since your mining has begun? Worn out boots and worn out miners, and your children looking pale. So keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners, stand together. Do not heed your own estate. Keep your hands upon your wages and your eye. How are you doing? I'm all right, thank you. Beautiful day.
Come on over.
You're all right. Hello. Nice.
Rachel, it's lovely to see you. Thanks
Hello.
for coming. It's an amazing day, isn't it? The sun is out, shining in your eyes. You haven't to shade your eyes.
It's glorious. It's a glorious
Not
day.
bad for the winter.
Well, we often have days like this in the northeast coast that are like really cold and crisp and clear, but like with amazing light quality. And so yeah, it's crystal clear today, isn't it? You can see for miles. And
Why did you want us to come here?
Well, Newton by the Sea is my favourite place in the whole wide world. It's just perfect. So we're stood next to a little square of whitewashed cottages, and in the corner is a fabulous pub called the Ship Inn. The beer's brilliant, the food's great. It's just
Crab sandwiches are to die for. I have to say, I've had them. Yeah, they're really good.
They're amazing. But actually, when I walk down the hill to here, this is my favourite view, because the fourth side of the square is this beautiful silvery beach, and it's a lovely bay, and in the distance you can see the ruins of Dunstanburgh Castle, and that is my favourite view. I just love it. Always makes my heart sing a bit to see it.
Shall we walk down the beach then towards Dunstanburgh Castle?
Yeah.
And we'll see that view. We'll see it silhouetted in the sunlight, I think.
And one of the favourite things I love is that the beach changes and the quality of the sand changes, and it's really kind of white here and silvery, and then you go around the corner and it becomes really like golden and orange, and it just, the quality of the sand changes, and it's lovely.
And there's a lot of bird life here as well. There's a sort of lagoon behind the dunes we were just walking past. And you can see the geese and all sorts of birds coming in there.
And there's always oyster catchers and sandlings and things in the, pattering around the shoreline, and it's lovely. We came up here as kids, always, and it's always been like a place that I would head to if it was a birthday or we've got any time. And in the summer I bring my kids up, and it's just a really beautiful place, and it's always like, it's quite busy near the pub, but it doesn't take much to before the beach is kind of empty, and
you've got plenty of space here, haven't you?
Yeah.
Big sky.
Yeah. And actually the tide's quite high up, but usually the beach is quite huge as well.
Now, you must be really tired today, because you've been doing one of these singing weekends.
Yeah.
What starts on a Friday, does it?
It does. We go up on a Thursday and start prepping the food, and me and Becky are in charge of crumbles and cakes, and then everybody arrives on the Friday. About 50 people, and we sing harmony songs with them and teach them different songs and a bit of harmony, and then we also teach them a lot of chorus songs so that we've got like a common repertoire, because the next day we go for a walk on the beach and sing on the beach.
Wonderful.
And this time we were singing a Selkie song, so we were hoping some Selkies might come.
These are the like mermaids, aren't they, Selkies?
Well, they're like seals in the sea, but when they take their seal skins off, they turn into human form, and there's lots of traditional songs, and so we did that, and then we go and sing in the pub. And
that's another ship inn, isn't it, in Sea Houses?
It is. We always go to one of the ship inns.
Right, and it's an amazing place because it's full of seafaring nautical memorabilia, And it's a really...
And fishermen. There was real life fishermen there.
There were some fishermen
as well.
there. and it's kind of L-shaped room with a fire at one end. And everyone crams in.
They do. We just have to... They always say, oh, there's no room. And I'm like, just keep going, push in, get in. There'll be room. But it's also, they have a really hot fire, so you can get a bit hot. But we have a good singing session there, and so we've got a shared repertoire already. We can all sing together, but actually quite often a few of them will sing, and that's really nice.
I had neat coat and neat fit shirt. Now I've gotten 2 or 3 Walker pits done well by me.
Like a hill and walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore. Like a hill and walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore.
George Charlton, he had a pig, he hit it with a shovel and it danced a jig all the way to Walker Shore, to the tune of Elsie Marley.
Like a hill and walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore. Like a hill and walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore.
So when you're in the pub with everybody gathered around, 50 people crammed in, all holding a pint and a hot dog, what makes that different from the experience of being on stage with the Unthanks?
It's a great privilege to sing like with the Unthanks and to sing and be a storyteller and to have that space to express yourself. But it's very different from singing with a group of people and being a small part of a big whole. And I feel like that's very like nourishing, and it's really good for your soul, and it's very uplifting in a very different way. And you feel like a whole, and you feel like a community. Some of the songs we sing in the pub, I wouldn't sing them on stage, I wouldn't feel I could carry off singing Union Miners on my own, but I certainly enjoy the experience of being almost an invisible part of that big whole, and it's so uplifting and like it's exhilarating. I love it.
Walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore. Like a hill and walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore. Like a hill and walk ashore, Collier lads forevermore.
And your mum and dad are there as well, aren't they?
Everybody is there, yeah. My mum and dad, my mum's partner Jim McGeehan, who's a great singer. My dad sings with him in a group called the Keelers, and so they're there and they help out, and yeah.
And do you take your own children to it?
They do. My kids were there, and their job is collecting the money on the bus and selling the CDs at the end.
But I wonder if you want to expose them to the kind of thing that you grew up with. I mean, are these singing
definitely.
weekends in a way of recapturing the kind of singing that was going on in your house when you were a little girl?
It is. When we thought about putting them together, it was before I had kids, and we toured relentlessly, and so we missed those times when we knew our friends and family would be in the pub singing together, we miss out on family occasions or coming up here and walking on the beach, and me and Becky had also been talking a lot about how we love to sing on stage, and that's amazing, and we feel very privileged to be able to do that. But like singing as a small part of a big hall is a very different experience, and you get something very different, and how it's what a nourishing experience it is. And
you can feel your soul lifting,
yeah,
can't you? I was just singing
totally,
along a bit
yeah.
myself yesterday afternoon, and you can definitely feel something happen to your spirit as
Yeah.
you join in with a communal sing like that.
Definitely, and I think like
And was that what you used to do? Was your dad practicing songs at home when you were
my dad
little?
never stopped singing, so yeah, he's always singing. And then we went to lots of folk festivals, and him and Jim sing together in a group with 2 other men. They sing unaccompanied, and like my dad helped revive an old mummers playing longsword dance in.
Because he's a sword dancer as well, your dad, isn't he? Yes,
He's a
I
rap
should
dancer.
say. So that was all going on in the house when you were a kid, or you were at least
and
going
we
out.
clog danced
And then
as
the
well,
clog
yeah.
dancing, was that something you learned from very young?
Yeah, from like 5.
Because on your albums it says that, it lists your names, and then it says vocals and things like that, and then it says feet,
Yes,
doesn't it? Because
it does.
when you're performing, you do the clog dancing.
Yeah, we've always clog danced, and it just felt natural that as well as sing a song, we might do a bit of a clog dance, and it kind of has become part of or band sound, you know, that we kind of think of it as a foot percussion kind of way as well, and so we dance in time signatures that are not traditional, you know,
Right.
like 7/8 and stuff, but it's really nice to be able to, you know, to do that and to show people that tradition, and wherever we go in the world, it's always goes down the best. We should just become clog dancers because people like it better, I think, than our miserable
There is a bit of
songs.
singing that goes on as well. You wouldn't care to sing a song for us on the beach here today,
Yeah,
would you?
could do, yeah.
Do you think of something that's appropriate?
Well, a song that from Northumberland, which I really love, is The Fair Flower of Northumberland. It kind of charts that kind of the kind of wild border land as well between Scotland and England, and the debatable lands it was called, because it wasn't clear who it actually belonged to, and actually it was just run by families. Now this is I haven't checked the words for a while, so this is my version.
Okay.
Oh, the promising daughter was walking a lane. Oh, but her love, it was easy won. She heard a Scots prisoner macking his mane, and she was the flower of Northumberland. Oh, what gin a lassie would borrow me? Oh, but her love, it was easy won. I would make her a lady of high degree if she'd loose me out of this prison so strong. And she has gone down to her father's bedstock. Oh, but her love, it was easy won, and she's ta'en out the keys there for many a brave lock, and she's loosed him out of his prison so strong. And she has gone down to her father's stable. Oh, but her love, it was easy won, and she's ta'en out a steed that was both fleet and able to carry them over to bonny Scotland. There's lots more verses. I could keep going if you like.
Well, it sounds fantastic. You want to give us a couple more?
Yeah, no, I'll keep
go on.
going.
Yeah.
Well, when they were crossing the Scottish moors, he said, oh, but your love, it was easy won. Get down from my horse, you're a brazen-faced whore. Go get thee back to Northumberland, for it's I have a wife in my own country. Oh, but your love, it was easy won, and I cannot do nothing with a lassie like thee. So go get thee back to Northumberland. Oh, it's cook in your kitchen I surely will be. Oh, but my love, it was easy won, and I'll serve on your lady most reverently, for I dare not go back to Northumberland. Oh, it's cook in my kitchen you cannot well be. Oh, but your love, it was easy won, for my lady, she will not want servants like thee. So go get thee back to Northumberland. But loath was he, the lassie to tie. Oh, but her love, it was easy won. So he's hired an old horse, and he's fed an old man to carry her home to Northumberland. And when she got home, her father he frowned and said, oh, but your love, It was easy one to be a Scots whore, and you're 15 years old, and you, the fair flower of Northumberland. But when she got home, her mother, she smiled and said, oh, but your love, it was easy won, but you'll not be the first that the Scots have beguiled, and you're still the fair flower of Northumberland. Oh, you will not want bread, and you will not want wine. Oh, but your love, it was easy won, and you will not want silver to buy a man with, for you're still the fair flower of Northumberland.
Fantastic.
We
Well,
got
we
there in
needed
the
you to
end.
get to the end because we need to know what happened,
I
didn't
know.
we? And she's 15.
She's only 15.
And she's nipped over the border with
I
a
know.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
wonder
so
Mum
she
and Dad were
thought.
upset.
Yeah.
And he was
Turned out
married.
He was just wanted to free him. Then, you know, he wasn't interested anymore.
So is it the storytelling in the songs that really appeals to you?
Massively, yeah. I think for me and Becky, my sister, obviously who I sing with, one of the big things that drew us in as children was listening to the stories and the songs. And I remember like going to Whitby Folk Festival and like going to a sing around and sitting under the table with my sticker book, and my brother being like, oh, when are we going to go on the beach? And me just being thinking, no, be quiet, we're allowed to be in this adult world where they tell each other stories in song. And I've always thought that was really magical and exciting, and sometimes I didn't even wouldn't understand the content of the stories. And
Because some of it's quite racy, isn't it?
well, and dark, there's a lot of death and murder and all sorts, but I think those stories really drew me in, and that's really what motivates me and Becky to sing, is to tell stories. And even in our arrangements as a band, that continues, that it's kind of all geared up to just tell the story with more colours and in different ways, and that's what we really, really enjoy doing.
When did you first perform in public together, the two of you?
I'm not sure exactly, because we used to like sing at family parties together, because Becky's a lot younger than me, and so
it's a 7-year gap, isn't it?
7 years half, so she would only sing if I sang with her. And then that, I think that was extended to, we used to go to the folk work summer school, but again we didn't go at the same time because I was much older, so they used to have an Over to You concert where the kids could perform, but she would only perform if I came. So I would go, because lots of my friends would be around anyway, and sing with her. And then I used to sing with some friends. I lived in Glasgow, and I used to be in a band with a girl called Kirsty Cotter, it's a fiddle player, and a harp player called Rosie Morton, and we used to get Becky up to, Becky's still at school, but we'd get her up to do some harmonies and things like that. But really, and then I think because we were in dance teams as well, we used to get tickets to folk festivals from dancing, and then if your team weren't dancing, you'd be like, well, how are we going to go and see all our friends? Because obviously the folky kids that we knew, you only saw them at the festivals, and as we became teenagers, you want desperate to see your friends. So we were like, well, maybe if we just got a few songs together, somebody might book us, and then we won't have to pay, and that's a way of going. So that was our grand plan, was to get to folk festivals for free.
And there's something amazing about hearing those two voices together.
Thank you.
And well, to me, it's partly to do with the fact that you're related to each other, because the voices blend so perfectly, and it must be to do with genetics as well as something else, don't you think?
I think it's also, well, I think probably because you must have similar genetics, obviously, but I think it's also about time spent together. So there's, we've spent so much time together that, if Becky looks at me a certain way, I know what she means. Or somebody was saying, oh, it's lovely watching you and Becky sing in the pub, and actually it was a song we don't know that well together, but so we were kind of making it up. But I'm saying, like, but if she looks at me like that, I know she means you take the verse and I'll do a harmony. You take the tune, I'll do, you know.
Yeah.
We spent so much time together that it's easier to kind of have that freedom to experiment, and obviously also there's no embarrassment about if you get it wrong, or if it's just it's your sister, you know.
Yeah.
They've seen you in much more embarrassing situations than that.
Pub wouldn't do us any harm.
And the sing in the pub wouldn't do us any harm. And the sing in the pub wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all hang on behind, and we'll roll. We'll roll. We'll roll. And we'll all hang on behind.
Oh,
Did you always think it would be a career, or did you just think it was something you did for fun?
well, I think it's just always been a part of our family. Our parents love folk music. They were in a dance team, they went to folk festivals, they sang, we encouraged us to play instruments, and so it was, you know, at a family party, you have to come with a song, you know, at births and marriages and deaths, everybody, you know, there's always a song to be sung. And I think for me personally, I kind of wished I could have been a folk singer, you know, secretly without telling anybody, but kind of never thinking you were good enough, I suppose, because everybody sings and, you know, that we knew. And I think Becky was more like dragged along, and she didn't have that aspiration, but then actually when we started doing it, she's like, I really like this. This is fun, you know. And look at the view now, you see, as we go around this corner.
We can see the castle coming around the corner there.
See Dunstanburgh Castle, which is ruined, and it's been ruined for a very long time in the War of the Roses. Apparently it got like battered with the first use of cannon on land, I think.
Really?
So Jim McGeehan tells me.
Well, I'm
so
sure
blaming
that's
him
true.
for that information.
Yeah. And I mean, it is quite a remarkable structure silhouetted against the sky, isn't it? Because it's like 3 fingers sticking up there.
Yeah, beautiful. And then, as you go around this corner, that's when it kind of opens up into Embleton Bay, and kind of get Newton Bay is a little bit smaller, and then the tide's quite high now, but when it's out, it's a beautiful golden beach.
There's nowhere better to be, is there, really, with
Not
the sun
really.
shining down on the white waves here. It's just beautiful.
And then, you know, you can go back to the ship and have a fantastic pint.
Yeah. What's not to like?
Yeah, definitely one of my favourite walks.
So when I first saw you, you were doing Rachael and Unthank and the Winter Set,
Yeah.
which was an all-female band, wasn't
Yes,
it?
yeah.
How did that come into being?
Well, me and Becky were a duo, really. And then we met Adrian, who ended up being in the Unthanks and managers, etc. And my husband, although we're now separated, and we're still part of the band, and we still work together and everything. And he kind of recognised that we wanted to do more, and he was like, "Oh, why don't you have a band?" And so he helped us kind of. He knew Belinda Hooley, who played with us first, and put that together. And then Jackie Oates played with us originally, and then eventually Neil Fakig, well, not that long actually, after Neil Fakig, who's still with us, played with us.
And whose idea was it to make it a piano-based sound? Because folk bands tend to have guitars, don't they? But that piano-based sound is very distinctive to what you
I
do.
suppose it's like the tools that you have. So me and Adrian and Becky quite quickly connected musically, and that's always been a real strength between the three of us, that we kind of understand what each other means, and we feel the same about the way we want to express music and what we think is important. And so that was a really tight bond. And he plays the piano, but he didn't think he was good enough to play the piano, so he's like, "I know a really good piano player, you should play with her." And then eventually we're like, could you just do it, actually?
Well, he told us an amazing story
Yeah.
about the first time you ever played piano in Las Vegas.
Yes, exactly.
Extraordinary story.
I know. But the pressure was, there to...
With Ben Folds sitting in the wings.
In the wings, yeah. And only an hour or two to rehearse backstage in Las Vegas. Yeah, it was crackers.
It was 5 years before I actually took the stage, when I was kind of bullied by the pair of them to stop communicating my ideas through other people and have some self-belief.
Do you remember the actual occasion when you first
Well,
went
in
on
practice
stage
it was
with
a very big moment, because it happened accidentally and by force, in that we went to America to tour with Ben Folds, and I was just there to sound engineer and tour manage. And our pianist didn't get in the country. She had a problem with a visa, and it was like, oh, well, we'll have to go home then. That's it. But they wouldn't send us home like they were deporting her, because we were there by right. So they wanted 1,500 quid a ticket for us, so we had to stay. So we rang his manager and said, if you give us a piano in our dressing room tomorrow morning, we will try and get a set together. And I hadn't played piano since I was 20, really, and I hadn't been on stage since that age. And I had less than kind of 12 hours suddenly to play in front of 2,000 people in Las Vegas with Ben Folds, one of the best pianists in the world, laughing at me in the wings.
No pressure then.
And yeah, we managed to sort of pull it off, and yeah.
I wonder how place influences the music that you make, because we've had a little walk this morning along the coast here in Northumberland, and it is a very distinctive coast. It's a very dramatic coast. It's a very beautiful place. It can be very bleak. I wonder if all of that comes out in the kind of arrangements that you make of music that's rooted so strongly here in the northeast.
Yeah, certainly, yeah. It's perhaps more common, particularly in folk music, for place and sound to be kind of linked by genre or ornamentation, or perhaps a certain instrument. So we think of the Northumberland pipes with Catherine Tickell and Northumberland, and perhaps the Elan pipes with Ireland and whatnot. But we've never really approached folk music as a genre or a style. We do use some stylings and ornamentation, particularly with Rachel and Becky's singing, and I've always felt that their vernacular is so strong and identifiable and has such a grounding in place that musically I can go anywhere I like with the backdrops to their songs, and it still have that sense of place and authority through what they have. And so where I like to go is to try and paint Northumberland in terms of its atmosphere. It's this vast kind of eerie open space with huge skies, and so I try and kind of paint these big austere glacial orchestral arrangements against their singing. Northumberland has this sort of ancient permanence, which is kind of almost beautiful, yet a bit kind of stark and bleak. It's peaceful now, but it has this bloody past, which gives it a sense of forebodingness, and that's what we're trying to create with songs like Felton Lonin and Gan to the Kai. Is they're kind of kitchen sink dramas or almost like nursery rhyme like in terms of their simplicity as songs, but there's always something not quite. It's almost nursery rhyme like in the words, but there's something implied that's not quite right.
Here's the tender come in, pressing all the man. Oh dear hinny, what a weighty then. Here's the tender come in off a child's bar. Here's the tender come in for the man of war. Hide the canny hinny, hide thee sail away, hide thee till the frigate makes for Druridge Bay. If they take thee, Geordie, who's to win our bread? Me and little Jackie, better off be dead. Here's the tender coming, pressing all the men. Oh dear hinny, what a weighty then. Here's the tender coming off a child's bar. Here's the tender coming, full of man and war.
Becky sings the next bit.
That's lovely.
I know.
That's lovely, yeah. Can I just ask you one family question? Because you did mention earlier on that you and Adrian had separated. Is that going to be difficult working together in the band?
Well, I think, you know, our love of music as me, Becky and Adrian, that was something that's always been very strong, and that doesn't change, you know, like we still have a passion to sing songs and make music together, and I think it's, we feel really strongly about still doing that.
So when you're on tour with a band, is it like a family? Is that the way it works for you?
Oh, definitely. Well, we are a family.
And do you take? Well, you are related to each other, obviously.
Most of us are related to each other.
And do you take the kids with you?
Well, it's kind of a changing thing, really. I mean, we used to, obviously before kids, we just used to tour, and I think for a lot of bands, even if you're not related, you end up becoming like a family, because you spend so much time with those people, and you're in their pockets, and you know, if you sleep on a tour bus, you're like they're sleeping above you, you know, with a curtain. Like
there's no privacy, is there?
You know what their pajamas look like, you know. You know the habits. So you know each other very well, and you rely on each other emotionally because you're away from home and you're away from your loved ones, and so. But obviously we are a family. Me and Becky are a family. Me and Adrian were married, and his Chris Price, who plays guitar and bass, is his best friend from home, and Niafa is like a family, adopted Unthank family, and he just ended up being like that. So we did take the kids. Yes,
you did take them.
When I had George, my eldest, he was a touring baby, and he came everywhere with us, and it was great. It got a little bit harder when I had two, and then I was thinking we maybe have to rethink this. And
what about Becky? She's had a baby now, hasn't she?
So Becky and Niafa have both had baby boys 10 days apart, which is very convenient of them. So
and you're all three about to go on tour together.
Yes.
Because you're doing a kind of stripped back tour, going back to the beginning.
We are.
Where it's just the three women's voices.
Yeah.
And what, a shruti box or something like that?
Probably not.
No, just the three voices.
Yeah.
Why did you want to do that? Because you're known for having orchestras and brass bands and trumpet players and cellists and goodness knows what, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's something we've always done. It's always been an element of most of our albums, is that me, Becky and Niafa would sing together. Or there's lots of songs that we'd sing live that never appeared on an album. So we have a repertoire already. And that's where it started for me and Becky, just us two and our voices. And so I think we've always meant to do an unaccompanied album, and I think just now feels like the right time to do it for us. We're really looking forward to it, all three of us. In a way, it's quite freeing as well. You know, musicians are expected to keep in time and things like that.
When you've got a conductor and a full orchestra, it must be a responsibility apart from anything else.
Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I want to talk to you also about the role of place and Northumberland in what you choose to sing, because you sometimes sing almost in dialects, don't you?
Yes.
You know, with some of the songs, which is preserving some of the ways in which people have spoken around here for hundreds of years. Yeah,
I suppose we didn't directly think about doing that, you know, about preserving. It's just that they were the songs that were nearest to hand, you know, they're the ones we are familiar with and we've heard other people sing. We're very lucky in the North East that there's a really strong singing community with loads of fantastic singers. So
somebody said to me in the pub yesterday that this was the only part of England where the folk revival didn't need to happen in the 50s and 60s because it never went away.
I don't know because I wasn't there. But I was definitely very lucky that when I came along it was very thriving. People like Johnny Handel and Jim, and there's loads of people, Louis Killen and lots of great female singers as well, Annie Fentiman, and just like people that sang in the pubs. And so there was lots of songs that we wanted to sing that we'd heard. It's been sung all our lives, and they were the kind of ones that we went to automatically, I think. You know.
So Gan to the Kai?
Gan to the Kai.
What does that mean?
Go to the cows.
Right.
Gan to the Kai with me, we love. And interestingly enough, when we went to Norway, was it Norway or was it Sweden? Actually, I think it was Sweden. And a journalist was maybe it was Norway. It was, they rang up and said, "Oh, we can understand you." Kai is cow in
Norwegian.
Yeah, and Ben, it's very similar for child. And actually, when you go into the airport, it says "Welcome in Yem," and we're like, "Yeah, we say Yem." Geordie say Yem for home, so it says "Welcome in Yem," and we're like, "Oh, it's so nice of them to put up in Geordie."
And when you sing here, does it feel different than when you sing anywhere else in the world?
Well, I suppose I know that people will know what I'm talking about when I say Yem. Whereas if I go to London, that's obviously not necessarily a given, and anybody knows what we're talking about. Oh, I think anyone, like, singing at home, you know, your family are there, your friends are there, people, it's your hometown, and people kind of support you because, you know, there's a warmth because you are representing them in a way, and so it's always lovely to play at home.
Now, you sang 2 songs at the end of the sing-around in the pub yesterday.
Yeah.
Tell me about those songs.
Oh, they're 2 great pub songs.
Right.
Especially Union Miners is a great song to sing in the pub.
In conclusion, bear in memory, keep the password in your mind, that God provides for every worker when in unions they combine. So stand like men and stand together, victory for you will prevail. So keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together. Do not leave.
Union Miners is a song that when I think about the singing sessions in pubs that we kind of built ours around, that one would always be sung. And we got it from the Elliots, a family from Birtley who ran folk club for many years and are enormously generous and lovely people who sing and encourage others to sing as well. And their father, Jack Elliott, was a miner and he worked in the pit. And the story goes that I've heard via Jim McGeehan is that there was an explosion and a miner that was working with their father called Yankee Jim held shaft so that he could escape and get out, and he also got out himself, and that he sang this song. And actually it's a Welsh tune that has gone to America and become a Union song, and then Jack learnt it off him to kind of, you know, in homage to the fact that he'd saved his life, and sang it and taught his family it. And actually it's a really important song to their family, and they really, like, they sing it with great passion still, and it's a bit of an anthem, you know. It's got a really uplifting tune as well as having a strong message, and it's a great song to sing.
Union miners stand together, do not heed the owner's tale, keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together, do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand.
And then the other song is a song our dad, George Unthank, wrote. And there is a great way of celebrating New Year in Northumberland, which is kind of southwest Northumberland. We're in northeast at the moment, in the Pennines, in a little place called Allendale. And on New Year's Eve, the men of the village get dressed up in costumes, some like Old Mummers Play, but some like the Teletubbies or Pirates, or I saw Postman Pat this year, and they use a third of a barrel, and it's filled full of highly flammable things. They set it on fire and they parade with a silver band, and then just before midnight they come back and throw them onto a bonfire in the middle of the square and sing Auld Lang Syne, and it's just really magical. And we used to go there a lot when we were kids and teenagers and young adults, and one year it snowed at the same time, so there was all this fire and snow, and my dad was inspired to write a New Year's Eve song. It's become a bit of a singing weekend anthem.
All year round, the the new year in. Please won't you let the lucky bird in, with bottle in hand and a piece of black coal, a stranger's a friend when first foot in you go.
It's also about, wishing a happy new year, and they're always in the winter or singing weekends, and then also like saying, well, we're not sure when we'll see you again, but wishing everybody good health, and so they're kind of singing weekend favourites that we finish with.
Midnight's approach, the band you can hear, the fiery procession of guises draws near, with friends and good company, with voices so clear, singing in harmony, bringing in the new year. Barrel in dale, fire in snow, toast the new year, bid farewell to the old. Of the heads of the geysers, the blazing barrels are hurled onto the bonfire, smoke, sparks and flames swirl. Amidst cheers and rejoicing, the rites of old Father Time will link hands together, sing old lang syne. Barrel in dale, fire in snow, toast the new year, bid farewell to the old.
Oh, sorry.
Throughout the year, when we sing this song, with old friends and new friends, sing along. May good fortune be with you, from all sorrows refrain, till that happy time when we all meet again. Barrel in dale, fire in snow, toast the new year.
That's wonderful. Rachel, thank you so much for
Oh, no,
giving
it's
us
a
your
pleasure.
time and for showing us this amazing place and this beautiful beach. Thank you.
My pleasure, thank
Thank
you.
The Unthanks on the Northumberland coast. Well, if you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe or follow us to make sure you get all our episodes just as soon as they're launched. And please rate and review us so others can find us. If you'd like to make a small monthly donation to help us produce more wonderful episodes, you can become a patron by going to folkonfoot.com and clicking on Support Us. There are 5 other episodes in Season 3 of Folk on Foot, featuring the Lost Words spell songs with Jackie Morris and Beth Porter in Pembrokeshire, Martin Simpson in Scunthorpe, John Smith in Brixham, Lisa Knapp in Tooting, and Duncan Chisholm at Sandwood Bay. And the 12 episodes of Seasons 1 and 2, featuring more amazing artists, are still there if you haven't heard them yet. To keep up with the latest information, you can sign up for our newsletter at folkonfoot.com or follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram with the handle @FolkOnFoot. We hope you enjoy listening to Folk on Foot as much as we love making it.